assault you, cause physical harm to you, what you want to do is stop the threat, and by whatever means that's reasonable to stop that threat. So if you're a small person going
Yeah.
up against a larger person, you're going to need something to give you the advantage. Same thing, someone breaking into your home with a weapon, whether it's a bat or a gun or whatever, you want to have significant enough of a response
Yeah.
to resolve that threat.
Absolutely. We look at the different amendments, First and Second Amendment and things like that. Oftentimes, I think it's the Second Amendment talks about gun ownership, or having the right to own a weapon or whatnot. And I've often heard the argument that that didn't apply to black people. That didn't apply to us because of the simple fact that when it was erected, then we were not in a position to become owners and weapons and things like that. Although we did fight in wars.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think by the time we became civilized,
Yeah.
and we realized we're all human beings,
Yeah.
then that the Second Amendment also applied to us also,
Uh-huh.
and that a lot of times people they want to practice that mainly because a free state is a safe state for everyone that lives there.
Right. Right.
It is. It's a state that's there for everyone. That we, as a group of people, we have to come to the realization how important it is to incorporate these laws like the Second Amendment rights and enforce them to make sure we all live in a free state.
Yeah, and you look at speaking on mass shootings. We look at the mass shootings that happened first off in Columbine and some of the other schools and some of the other businesses. Oftentimes is when those mass shootings occurred, they were in places where they knew they wouldn't have weapons. They were in the school or in the church or somewhere where they knew that they wouldn't have a weapon. You know what I'm saying? And they had posted on the door, do not have no weapons.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
They're considered soft targets.
Right.
On the on the other side of that conversation, look at gun ranges.
Yep.
How many active shooters do you see at gun ranges?
Right.
Not very all at
Right.
all. I don't think I've ever heard of one. So why is that?
Yeah.
So I agree. And that's the benefit of responsible gun ownership is that our intent is not to ever have to pull our firearm, let alone fire it. But if the situation creates it, then we want to be prepared. Carrying concealed, that affords the opportunity for both, and you can have the ability to protect yourself if needed, and if not needed, then you're not disrupting anything in society.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Walker. Want to break here? Absolutely. Here we'll go to a break. If you guys got a break for me, real quick, we'll come back on the side, reboot the show. Then got us.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Listen, you're listening to Chris Jackson, Street Therapy KC, here in Kansas City, Missouri at KUAW Radio. Feel free to drop us a line if you have a question, comment, or concern, or anything you just want to ask these gentlemen about, your safety and things like that. Feel free to drop us a line. We're on Facebook Live. Also, we're on the internet, so if you feel free to chime in if you like.
go off into people who die on operating tables. A lot of people die on operating tables. But
Yeah.
I don't see you trying to, take away scalpels.
Yeah. No, you're right. We call most of that, but yeah, no, you're right, Eric. Man, you don't, and I guess the argument becomes, I guess where the boogeyman is. You know what I mean? What do you call the boogeyman? I mean, is it our obesity rate that's killing people with heart disease and diabetes and things like that at a much more rapid rate or are you looking at as far as the guns and taking the guns and the ammo and things like that away? I mean, I mean, it's where the boogeyman is. What you deem to be unsafe?
Yeah, exactly, and that's the whole point on how I feel. I feel that we target areas of this country. We already have laws. Guess what? Enforce the laws that's already on the book.
Yeah.
Strengthen those laws already on the book.
Yeah.
Let's stop creating new laws.
Yeah.
And areas where we need to improve on, we need to improve on these areas. Yeah. It's so many areas like why we have a lack of healthcare system. We didn't have enough masks to go out here to protect nurses and doctors.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many areas that we can focus on.
Yeah.
Let's not focus on something like guns.
Yeah.
Guess what? Strengthen the gun laws. Don't create no more. Because right now, I see a lot of loopholes in these gun laws that can be tightened down to where, you know what, somebody who want to go out and commit a mass shooting, we can stop them from even attaining a firearm if you just, like the guy in Texas. This guy had a dishonorable discharge. I got found guilty for domestic violence and escaped on a psych ward.
Yeah.
And this guy was still out here buying guns.
Yeah. Are you talking about the gentleman that was up in the windows in the hotel? Is that the guy you're talking about?
No, the guy was in the church. And he killed like 27 people in that church.
Yeah.
This guy should have never been allowed to own a firearm.
That's funny you said that, Eric, man, because we looked at like the young man. I forgot that's crazy. You forget which shooting it was, but he ended up. His mother even told him, not to release this guy, man, because he was a troubled kid. But he ended up getting weapons from his mom's house or whatnot. But he was already mentally unstable, and things like that. And you know what? And to be honest with you, I think it really goes back from not even really just the weapons and guns. It's just the fact that we have an underlying case with mental illness, man, that's not really being addressed. We're looking at the tools, but we're not really looking at the problem in itself. The problem is right there, but it's like the big elephant in the room. It's like, everybody wants to talk about everything else, but the elephant sitting right in front of you, nobody wants to look at it. That's why we keep getting crapped on by the elephant, man.
I mean, a human being can only take so much. Look what happened to the doctor in New York. She went off and caught the coronavirus, and she dealt with it. She fought it off, and she recovered from it. Then she went right back to saving people's lives, and she just handled it, and she commits suicide.
Yeah. I think Eric was saying something as well.
Brother. No, I was just saying I agree with you, that underlying problem.
Yeah.
We don't want to address it. So,
and
that happens in, everything, like you said, whether it's healthcare, violence, and whether it's the family structure.
Absolutely.
Look at all that, and all that is, we don't want to take the holistic approach. We want to, be polarized and do what we feel is right versus doing what's known to be right.
Yeah, and I like I said, and I reached out to you, gentlemen, man, because you two, you brothers, you black men. And oftentimes the stigma that we get is, we're the fathers that are not in the household. We're we're the poster child for negativity and domestic violence, or just gun violence and things like that. So we seem to be the poster child for all these things, and obviously that's not the case here. And that's something that's a narrative that I think through media really just pushes a lot of it, man. And we can change that narrative, but it takes, I don't know what it takes. I know it takes us I don't know what it takes, man. Just us continue to be who we are.
So, yeah, and I think that kind of relates to what I have a problem with, like with social media, is the targeted advertising. You're going to, as soon as you start clicking buttons, you're going to get what you want, and they're continue to stream that to you. So I think that's one of the things that polarizing us as a society.
Absolutely.
That if you have one idea, then that's what you're going to continue to be fed. So we have to challenge people to go outside that box. Most people understand that targeting advertisement, but yet they continue to accept it. So so I think it's just a total mindset that we have to adjust. We all the media, and there's enough media on the main media extremes that they share information, such as the African American being shot, that any person can go online and start reviewing that and then develop a different conscience, so to speak. And there are a lot of people doing that. You see that on social media a lot, where the white community is starting to understand that there is a problem. So, that's part of it. And then the second part of it is actually doing something about it,
Absolutely.
creating an extra voice.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, man. I think the when I was headed in this afternoon, I think what was kind of buzzing on my feed was the gentleman that was killed in Minnesota, a little bit ago. The cop had his knee in his neck or whatnot. He said he couldn't breathe. And also the feed of the lady that was in Central Park calling the police and on the brother for having the leash off the dog. You know what I'm saying? And that's funny because it is targeted. It's targeted marketing. I mean, you think about it in the inner cities when they say, okay, you got 5 McDonald's. I say, oh, you like McDonald's? Maybe you like Burger King. We'll put a Burger King over there. And then, well, maybe you'll like a Whole Foods, and then you don't really gravitate toward Whole Foods. Okay, we'll take that back. We'll give you another Checkers. You know what I'm saying? So they basically give you what you want, and that gives you an ideology of it begins to build a character within yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Go ahead.
The most upsetting thing with Minnesota is that Jeff and myself, we've been law enforcement officers. We've been police officers, and it really upset my heart for this police officer to have his knee in this man's neck for over 28 minutes.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe this. And when the guy kept in distress, because I was prior EMT, and I couldn't believe how he was asking this guy, look, he's already handcuffed.
Right.
He had handcuffs behind his back. He's already subdued.
Yeah.
So why would you continually keep your knee on this man's neck?
Yeah.
And to the point to where he went conscious, and then 9/10 he died.
Yeah.
And then when they took him to the hospital, they found he died. And the problem here is that we become numb to each other.
Yeah.
We have not become civilized yet. We are not civilized because civilized people wouldn't allow these type of practices to keep repeating themselves.
Yeah.
You had a young boy in a park with a BB gun, Tamar Rice.
Yeah, that's right.
And a police officer couldn't even determine if this guy was 12 or 18 years old. If you can't look at a 12-year-old boy and you can't see if this guy is not 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's something wrong with this picture.
Yeah.
We have been dehumanized for so long in this country by the media.
Yeah.
To where a lot of these people really don't look at us as human beings.
Yeah.
So taking our lives is simple.
Yeah.
There's no conscience to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it goes off when, when we see whether it be a cop shooting and things like that, or something, or police brutality, and then we say, then people say, well, what about black on black crime? Well, what about black people killing black people? Well, what about black on black crime? Well, I mean, the thing about it is, when oftentimes when black people kill black people, they go to jail. And oftentimes when it's a police situation, it almost seems like, you got to get a video, you got to get the body cam, you got to get the sworn testament, you got to get this, you got to get this, He's like, good Lord, man, didn't we all seen the same thing? And it's funny because the Minnesota thing, as soon as I saw that, man, it reminded me of I think it was Walter Scott up in New York when he was selling cigarettes, selling those loose cigarettes. Brother kept saying, I can't breathe. They had him in a chokehold. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. As soon as I saw that, man, I instantly went back to Walter Sterling. Walter Scott, I believe. And I don't know, you see these things, man, and it just seems to me it's like modern day lynching, man, because everybody sees it. But I guess we have to really, I don't know, we have to really, I guess, love ourselves, man, because if we don't love ourselves, then, I mean, we can't, nobody can really respect us unless we respect ourselves.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And for the people that say, "What about black on black crime?"
Right.
Have you reviewed history? Have you seen what was done to the African American? From the slavery on forward to the civil rights eras.
Yeah.
Have you truly appreciated what happened? And so you start talking about redlining and predatory lending, things like that for housing. All that stuff combined.
Till this day.
Yeah. So you have a few people that overcome that, yes, but the majority, or I won't say the majority,
Sure.
There's a number of people that can't overcome that, whether it's just the lack of opportunity or the lack of knowledge to do so.
Yeah.
So I think that training aspect, that education aspect, the building the family structure, all that plays a role in improving our situation.
Absolutely.
The UN did a study, and it came out February the 17th of 2017, and that they stated they spent $23 million. They did a study on African Americans in this country, and they said the reason why African Americans are in the situation they in because of the past crimes, human rights violations that was committed in this country, that these people try to overlook and try to ignore that went on.
Yeah.
I was watching a movie with my wife called The Banker, and this was about this guy who was a brainiac. This guy knew the numbers like you couldn't imagine. And if this guy would have been white, he would have been a billionaire, easy.
Yeah.
But what happened was in Texas, they kept African Americans from owning banks.
Yeah.
They kept them from owning businesses.
Yeah.
They turned them down. Banks turned them down purposely from owning a business.
Yeah.
So now, when you look at this country as a whole, we had this country. We talking about they didn't allow black people to have a patent. You couldn't even apply for a patent.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So when it comes down for generational wealth, we was not allowed to have generational wealth. We was not.
Yeah.
We was forced to be consumers.
Yeah.
We was forced to be consumers.
No doubt.
And then you're wondering why we're in the situation we're in.
Yeah.
It's not because we're incompetent or we don't know what we're doing. The reason why we're in this situation, because this country purposely kept us from creating generational wealth.
Yeah.
It kept us from having a solid education.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. No, man, listen, I totally agree, man. We got about 10 minutes left in the set here. It's funny you said that because we look at Black Wall Street. We look at Rosewood. We look at a lot of those different areas that were prominent and did have businesses, own bus stations, own taxi cabs, own hotels. And then what happened was, obviously, I'm sure you guys know, it was bombed. So we did have our own boots on our own boots, and we were picking ourselves up from our own bootstraps. But now it seems as if they're trying to take the boots away, from us. And they say, pick up yourself from your own bootstraps. Well, you took the boots away. So and that's I don't know, man. It's kind of an oxymoron, you think?
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, we several weeks ago we met up with the Black Cowboys here in the Kansas City area, and they gave us some history on the Cowboys, etc.
Nice.
And I did a little research, and for whatever reason, they talked about after the Civil War, people were really asked to go out west, and they could pick up 160 acres. They could just they could 160 acres to develop. If blacks didn't get an opportunity to do that either, because the South retained the slavery that wouldn't allow, wouldn't allow people to go outside the South. So, we missed opportunities there. So, there's so much history that's out there that, didn't allow us to, be equal one, and then didn't allow us the opportunities to, take that next step, like Eric said, create that generational wealth. So, you get 160 acres and, farm that for years or whatever, and then, third generation decides to sell it. Well, you're financially, you have a financial advantage. So,
Absolutely.
So there, just it goes around the board. There's so many opportunities that we weren't allowed to overcome, or to achieve. So
yeah, I was reading an article some time ago. It was talking about the black farmers. It's like, good grief, man! These folks have been farming for years. They know what they're doing, and they get land taken away from them and stuff like that. It's like, boy, when when do you catch a break?
Exactly, yeah. Or they won't purchase their crops. Certain people wouldn't purchase crops.
Absolutely, absolutely. Give them bad seeds. Give them weeds instead of seeds. But I got a couple questions here. I think someone left a few questions here. They also one of the questions was, what's the name of the organization, and how do they contact you guys?
Okay, the name of the organization is the National African American Gun Association. You can go to the internet at www.naaga.co. There's no M on that; it's just .co. That'll get you to our national website, and then there's a link that provides all the information about the organization and provides a link to more information about our local chapter as well as joining. If you have questions directly for me, you can contact me at kcnaaga@gmail.com, and that's basically Kansas City NAAGA@gmail.com.
Nice. And they had two other questions. One question was, do you have meetings, and how to become a member?
Okay. So yes, so we meet once a month. Right now it's on Sunday afternoons, the second Sunday of the month. We talk about a variety of topics, a lot of similar conversations like this, and then those that want to, we go shoot afterwards. And really all you have to do, there's yearly annual fees. You have to be a member of the national organization to become a member of the local chapter. So if you go to that naaga.co website, it gives you all the information for the national chapter. So, and we do have a meeting coming up June 14th. So, those that are interested, again, shoot me an email at the kcnaaga@gmail.com, and I can provide more information.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, any parting words, Mr. Sanders or Mr. Jeff there?
I want to say this, and I mean this from my heart. I think it's a fantastic organization. If you're interested in practicing your Second Amendment rights, if you enjoy guns, if you want to learn about distance shooting or 3-gun competition or tactical reload or kill zone or clearing the house, this is an ideal organization. We are brothers and sisters in this together, and that one of the factors and one reason why we've been kept down for so long, because we don't work as a unit.
Yeah.
And I was telling Jeff, that's one thing I love about this organization. We work as a unit, one unit. We're the same.
Yeah. Well said, Brother Sanders. Well said, Mr. Maple.
So, yeah, I appreciate you having us on. Again, we are trying to grow organically within our organization. We are, positive environment. We got a lot of professionals that are in our organization, in our chapter. Women, we have, I think 30% of our membership is women, and for the organization, the national organization, it's 60% are women. So so it's all inclusive. It's about education. And getting rid of that stigma. A lot of people, we're finding out, from being an instructor and then being part of the organization, there are a lot of people out there that own guns that don't know how to use them. I mean, they don't have the education. They think they do, but they go through a couple classes with us and they understand that they don't have a clue of how to properly handle a gun. So again, with that, get education somewhere, whether it's with our organization or anywhere else. Just get that education piece.
Absolutely.
I'm with. I want to add on to that. Jeff is so right about that. It's so many guys that go to a gun range and they think they know exactly so much about guns. You shooting at a target. We do movement, we do tactical reloads, we do clearing house. You are not gonna find that training nowhere else.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find it in no gun range.
Yeah.
You only find it in a gun club.
Yeah. Well said, brother. Listen, I got my CCW, man, and shucks, that was about that was kind of where it stopped, was a target. So yeah, that I ain't gonna lie, that's about where it stopped, was a target, man. I see some of you brothers, so with the way y'all move, man, I'm like, listen, I need to know that, because listen, me shooting at this target that's just standing there, that ain't gonna get me nowhere, man. Listen, hey, I love to have you gentlemen back on, man. I appreciate your time so much. Hey, Mr. Eric Sanders and Jeff Maple, reach out to them, y'all. Get an understanding on how to better protect ourselves with these guns, man. Guns is a tool to protect you, not to hurt you, man. Y'all take care, brothers. Good talking to you.
All right, you as well. Appreciate it.
Good talking to you too, Chris.
Absolutely. All right. They're off. Okay, cool. Listen here, that was Mr. Eric Sanders and Jeff Maples. One was a police officer, a former police officers, served time in the military. I thank you guys for your service as well. I didn't say that. But yeah, so that's something that we really need to discuss. We see a lot of the shootings. I've been in 3 shootouts, and 3 drive-bys in my lifetime. But by the grace of God, we're still standing here and not being hit with a bullet, like I said, but by the grace of God, still standing here, still sitting here. I was one time over to a house and whatnot, my grandmother's and whatnot. And someone came by and shot out the house. I had 3 or 4 bullet holes in my car and things like that, but I wasn't sitting in the car. Thank God for that. So we just thank God for a lot of the things, man, that oftentimes me personally, I definitely count my blessings, you know what I'm saying? But digging into gun violence and gun awareness and gun knowledge and things like that, and weapons are and oftentimes weapons get a bad rap. I'm not a I don't own a weapon, but I tell you what, man, after seeing what's going on in our society and whatnot, we have little ones at home, and those are some things that we have to navigate toward being comfortable with having things like that around the house, but definitely that's something that a conversation that really needs to be had with everybody. It's a conversation that needs to be had with people who are in the inner cities and people who are in the suburbs. If you have a weapon in the house, if you have a young family, if you have an older family, understanding who's in your family, whether it be someone that has mental instabilities or mental illnesses, and knowing how to take those weapons and safely put them away where they're not where they won't cause a problem and things like that. But the National African American Gun Association, that sounds like a great fit, because these are gentlemen that put the work in. These are gentlemen that have been trained over and over and still continue to train over and over again. And I think that's something that we really need to look into, as far as it's one thing to own a weapon, but it's another thing to properly understand how to, load it and unload it and clean it and protect yourself from it. You see a lot of the movies where it be the Men's Society or Boys in the Hood or whatever, just certain type of movies like that, where they're shooting the gun sideways. You shooting the gun sideways, and the bullets are going everywhere. You're not really hitting the target, but that's something that we really need to discuss. And I thank God that they were able to come in and have that conversation with us and everything. So, Mr. Walker, I'm gonna take a quick break here, real quick, and listen here. We're gonna, if you guys still have any questions, comments, concerned, or like us, like us, share it, and definitely we'll be back here on the other side with Street Therapy, Jamaicans. All right, all right, all right. Listen here. We are back in the air chair. So we are sitting here in the studio. We are in the WEB Du Bois Learning Center. School's out for everybody. So we are here. But no, that was something that we really need to discuss. We see a lot of gun issues, and oftentimes we get plagued as the poster child for gun violence and things like that. And I think that was something that we really need to see. Gentlemen that look like us, that are trained well in the art of combat, in the art of weapons, in the art of just being able to protect yourself with those different weapons and tools. So that was definitely something that we need to know about. But the name of the organization, once again, I'll tell you, is NAAGA, National African American Gun Association. Excuse me. So that right there is the name of the organization. That was my man Eric Sanders and Jeff Maples. Those are the gentlemen there. And we talked about just a few things, and there was a lot more I wanted to discuss, but time didn't permit, which is fine. You can't say everything in an hour. You got to come back. That's why you leave the door open for folks that you truly enjoy having a conversation with. Then you can have them back, and then you can say, "Oh, by the way, there's another question I want to ask." But but that was definitely something that I needed to know. And I think there's the questions that were asked here. I hope that those that answered your questions to the best of your ability, and that you go out and you seek them out, and you go get that gun training, you go get that understanding, and you take somebody, and then you grow. So you take a young man that's a teenager, or in case you take an older man, or a lady, that I know when I went and got my when I went and got trained and things like, not through this organization but another one. Excuse me. I know that when I went, I took my cousin and her best friend. You know, my cousin, she's a business owner. You know, they own a barber shop and a beauty salon. So just for the safety and knowing that they can understand how to properly, engage in an altercation if they had to, as far as business owner, and her best friend, as far as her being a single female, you know, having her own spot, things like that. Say what, if an intruder comes in, what do you do? Do you run and grab the baseball bat if they come in with a weapon, or do you properly know that at 2 o'clock in the morning, do you know how to reach over and grab it, load it, cock it, and be ready? Uh, how do you understand that? And one of the scenarios that they gave was, it was a restaurant. The gentleman came in the restaurant. They pointed everybody out who was in the restaurant and things like that. And they said, well, okay, after the altercation had occurred, they said, how could this scenario have changed? And oftentimes you never really think about that. Sometimes you go in the restaurant, they say, hey, I want a seat over here. And you sit there and you're fine with it. I had a friend of mine that was in the military. He would not sit with his back toward the door. That was his. He couldn't have his back toward the door. So we would go out to the restaurants and eat things like that. And he'd be like, "Well, so we have a seat over here." He said, "Well, I'll wait for us." I said, "Man, I'm hungry. Ain't nobody got time to wait for you to feel comfortable." But he had to feel comfortable with where he was sitting because he did not want to have his back toward the door. And then in that training course, they talked about, where do you sit? Where would be the best place to sit? Where you can see, and not really to be paranoid, but you understand we live in a time where, oftentimes things happen, in a moment's time. But we're gonna go ahead and close this show out. We that has been my time for this week. And I'm getting clogged up here. But that's been my time for this week here. And thank y'all for tuning in so much. We appreciate it. Reach out to NAAGA, National African American Gun Associations, Eric Sanders, Jeff Maples, great guys. You heard them there. Definitely know their stuff. Definitely willing to teach us the proper way and train us in the proper way, and also grow the organization in an organic way, but also in a sense that we understand that guns are guns. Like I said, guns ain't the boogeyman. We got a lot more fish to fry than that. Obviously guns can take a person out, but also gun can protect you as well by taking the person out. I guess. But at any rate, listen here. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is Chris. This is CJ for Street Therapy. Thank y'all again. We'll see y'all next time. God bless you. Have a great week.